Hi, Greg, Starthouse. All right, this is part one of a two-part video. We're gonna take a break and then come back and see y'all. Real easy one today. How to and how not to lube a chain. This is not what you're looking for. Road bike, mountain bike, motorcycle, e-bike, pedal bike, kids bike, don't matter. You don't want this much lube on your chain. The reason you don't want this much lube on your chain, someday when we can feel through these videos, you would feel all the sand and crap on this chain that is causing premature wear on your cassette and your chain rings up front. It's also gonna guck up these derailleur pulleys. This one's actually not too bad, but I've seen these really bad. So in part two of this video, which we're gonna take a break on and do in a little bit, I'm gonna go over just a couple quick, easy things of what I do to lube a chain so we don't end up with a huge mess like this. A little bit of it's product selection, but it has more to do with where you lube and how you deal with the excess, because no matter how perfect you think you are, you gotta wipe up a little bit of the extra. At some point I told you about how I like to lube backpedaling, but on e-bikes, you can't do that because this freewheels around the, something happens. So the simple thing to do here, take usually it's a 5mm Allen key, and you stick in here, and then all of a sudden you can backpedal because we're gonna be lubing the chain in here. Maybe I've already showed you that, but that's how you do that. Okay, so this bike is exhibiting kind of what is ideal. This customer probably took it one step too far or one ride too far. The chain is really dry. It's squeaking and stuff as it comes through the drivetrain here, but he didn't over lubricate, which is rad. So this is gonna be easier to kind of maintain. And this is a little more what you want your stuff to look like if you're lubing properly. Hence the reason we wanted to start this video. So I use this stuff to, well, and chain lube, to get the chain up and running. So, there's an e-bike, so we got to do the e-bike trick with the 5mm in one of the chain ring bolts to get the system to backpedal. If you have a repair stain, you don't need to do that, but it's still easier if you can backpedal. So, I'll use this sometimes. This isn't that bad, so I'm not gonna need this to clean up the cassette. So I'm gonna use, I love the Pedro's brushes, nice stiff bristles here, long reachers in here. And I'm just gonna come in and just brush some of this stuff out. Now, could you do better in this? And could you get this cleaner using some other system like solvents or soapy water or something like that? Absolutely. Are you gonna do that on a regular basis? I'd highly doubt it. This guy barely lubed his chain to begin with, so anything we're doing here is better than what's been happening. So I'm just kinda cleaning up the cassette. Top, and the chain hides a couple here, so I'm just gonna shift down 2 or 3 gears so I can get to these guys. And we're pretty good. I could get it 7% better if I spend another half hour, but I never have a half hour. And if I do, I'm gonna turn that into a bit of a ride, I think. You can use this same brush to get in here to the pulleys. I'm just trying to clean up some of the debris off the pulleys. You can get to the back side with this brush is really nice with this too, because it's long enough. I don't get my fingers caught in the deal. Down here, same deal. Just gonna clean up the pulleys a little bit. If these pulleys are gucked up because you overloaded the system with lubricant, you can use a small flat blade screwdriver, slowly backpedal, and I can dig some stuff out of there. And this isn't bad, but you know, that's not bad. But you can still get in there and scrape these out. You almost feel like a dentist when you're doing this to some extent. But these aren't bad enough, we don't have to do that. The brush here is gonna be plenty. Okay, the chain, this is where I do like the wire brush. I'll get kind of midpoint in the stack here, somewhere in the middle. It just makes the chain line good. It also opens this system up down here so you can get in here to work. And remember, some magic happens in there where you can't backpedal. So we're gonna take 5mm Allen key. We're just gonna pop that in there. let that rest against. I'm gonna take my wire brush and I'm just gonna backpedal. And this is just getting rid of some of the extra stuff on the chain. I'll probably go back to this brush to kind of get the top of the chain a little bit. And remember, I know you can go deeper on this stuff. The more you do this, the less you're gonna feel like you need solvents and chain cleaners that you fill with liquid, and then you're left with this pail of stuff you gotta deal with. So the last thing I'll do, I got a little excited there. We're gonna put this back in there. The last thing I'm gonna do is kind of finish this up with a rag. So I'm just holding the rag like this in my hand. And I'm grabbing the chain like this. As it's rolling through my hands, I'm doing two things. I'm wiping the last bit of stuff off, and this is my stuff. This time I'm going in here like this with the rag. I'm gonna get in here like this and pinch with the rag to get these pulleys a little cleaner. And this gets a little, I go slower on this. Sometimes the rag's gonna get sucked into there. That's just the way it happens. It's all gonna happen forever. You never totally avoid doing that. And up here, I'm just pinching like this with the rag, my pointer and thumb. Just kind of cleaning that stuff up a little bit. You know, hey, you got an extra 30 seconds? You can wipe the derailleur down, make yourself look all pro in there. But we got some guys out sick today, so I'm not gonna do that. You can come back to your Pedro's brush and you can get some of the chain ring. The nice thing with the Pedro's brush is you don't have to worry. This isn't gonna scratch the bike. I'm not gonna just gonna go at this guy's motor cover, but you know, the brush is gonna contact the frame a little bit. And in this example, that's gonna be okay, because I'm not gonna scratch this guy's bike. And I'm just kind of stabbing in there and just trying to clean this stuff up a bit. And again, the more you do this, the easier this job is. On my bike, I can do this whole process in less than 5 minutes. I'm like cleaned up, ready to go for the next ride. Okay, so final step. We use and love Dumont-Tech at the shop. Pick your favorite lube and run with it. I think this is the best stuff for our area. It's friendly on drivetrains. The company touts using it sparingly, and if you do, you'll get a longer run life out of the bottle. They're not cheap, so I tend to follow their instructions and use it sparingly. But what we're gonna do, we gotta go back to because again, I wanna backpedal, and this is one of the bigger things here. On a lot of chains, there's a connector link. Let's see if I can find it here. So here's this connector link on this guy's chain. So we're fortunate in that it's slightly different color than the rusty parts on his old chain. So I'll be able to kind of spot this as it comes back around, and it's usually about 2 1/4 turns out of this crank when this is going to come back around. And I want to keep an eye on that because I don't want to over lubricate. If you don't have a unique identifying link, you could do something like this. You could put a smiley face on there. I'm just gonna put a blob of permanent marker on there just to locate my spot. So this is probably the most important part of this experience. You really don't want to lubricate up here. When you lube on top of the cassette, it's easy to get to and you can pedal forward, but you're gonna over lubricate this cassette, and that's when they get really loaded with stuff between the cassette cogs. So I like to lubricate down here for 2 reasons. A, it's the cleanest spot. Also, as the chain, as I'm backpedaling, as the lubricated part of the chain runs into the chain ring is helping to kind of push lube down inside the rollers. And inside this roller right here is really the only part where you need lube on the chain. All the lube on the outside of the plates and everywhere else, it's really not doing you much good. Just by the nature of doing this, you're gonna get a little extra lube on the chainring and the teeth of the cassette, because after I get around here one time with the lube, I'm gonna shift through the gears. As that chain moves around, it's gonna let the lubricant get into the rollers of the chain, and you're gonna end up with something that's kind of ride ready. So I like to rest my hand against the back of the derailleur, because it allows me to stabilize and kind of have this central point. And I'm really going for about 1 drop of this lube per roller. And the more you do this, the faster you'll go. You'll learn the flow rates of your bottle for the lube that you're using. And I'm just kind of watching for that. There's my link, so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna take my Allen key back out of the deal. And now I'm just gonna simply run through some gears on this. And again, this does a couple things. Mostly I want the lube to get, this guy needs a shifter adjustment, derailleur adjustment. One thing I forgot to mention, before I lube the chain, as I'm backpedaling and I'm letting that chain come through my hands, I'm feeling that chain. I get to feel every link on that chain. And if I feel something uniquely different, that's a sign that your chain plates might be separating a little bit, and that's the beginning of a chain failure. Chains don't break like a piece of rope towing a truck. They tend to have a pretty slow kind of failure process, where you take a hard shift and the plates come apart a little bit, and sometimes it's 10 miles before your chain breaks, and that could be the next day. So I like to catch those chain plates separating in the shop, because boy, is it easy to fix stuff here. It's not so much on trail. After I cycle through the gears a couple times, I'm probably gonna come back in, and I'm just going to really lightly wipe off the extra lube off of the chain, off of the pulley wheels. The pulley wheels is a big one. These you can really kind of go to town on. You'll further clean the pulley wheels by doing this. And this is where the lube is really gonna build up. You can do the same thing to the chain ring. You can kind of get in here and get that chain ring. You can wipe that chain ring down a little bit and take off some extra dirt and stuff with that. And I don't go real aggressive at the chain, because I want some lube to live on this thing. The Dumontech's not a dry lube per se, but it does have some evaporative qualities to it, so it's gonna kind of take care of itself. So you can do this. I know you can do this way more in depth, and that's great. If you got that kind of time and you've got the resources to do that, that's great. Your stuff will last longer than someone else's that's doing this stuff. But this is something that after you get your program down, you can do it in sub 5 minutes. And if you're doing it I usually tell people in Tahoe, we're really dry and dusty here. I say an hour and a half or more. If your ride is an hour and a half or more, you should probably lube before the next ride. If you did a quickie after work and you just did a lap on a local trail and it's sub 1 hour and you're gonna do the same thing tomorrow, you'll be fine. Go home, put the bike in the garage, go eat dinner, and you'll be fine for the next day. That's what I got. Subscribe, like, all the good stuff. We're here for you guys if you need us. Bye.